Hello.
Hi Rebecca, it's Beatrice.
Hi, Beatrice. It's Rebecca. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yes. Despite the weird grey weather, it's all
Yeah,
good.
the time change is not, it takes me a long time to get used to it.
Yes, although still thankful for the extra hour.
That's true. Yes, very
But
much so.
yeah, but I don't like the dark
No.
coming in early.
And it
I do
seems
think
very dark.
hibernation could be a good option.
Yeah, I think so too, actually.
Now I've got all my cocooning scarves and whatnot.
And I quite like the idea of getting lots of nuts. I think that's good.
Oh, God, that's good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good point. Yes.
Sorry,
Okay.
there's some building work in the background you might hear.
I can't hear it right now.
Okay.
But how are you doing? What have you been doing with your
In my
research
bubble.
for the Clash? in your Clash bubble?
Yeah, so the other curator, Gordon, he recommended this film, which I'd never even heard of, and it's called Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains.
It is not.
It is. Have you ever heard of it?
No, that's clearly the best title ever.
Yeah.
That's insane. Where's it from?
It's from, so it was, the reason he mentioned it, well, many reasons, but Paul Simonon, who plays the bass in The Clash, he's in it as an actor.
Oh, wow.
So he sort of basically plays himself because it's about a girl punk band.
Wow. Is it a real one or it's all fictional?
It's all fictional, but there's also a male band which the girls are inspired by, and they include Paul Cook and Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and the singer is Ray Winston.
I don't know who Ray Winston is.
Oh, you look him up. You do know.
Okay.
Yeah. He normally plays sort of hard-boiled
Cockney.
Cockney.
No, I do know who he is.
Yes.
Sorry, I was thinking this was going to be another punk.
No, he's an actor. Actually.
Oh, I do know who he is. Of course, I do. Yes.
And the songs are actually.
God.
The songs are really good. So it's
wow.
It's a very convoluted story that I can't tell. You should watch it anyway. I'm not going to tell you the entire story, but just some highlights. So
please, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's got a lot of interesting people involved. There's the writer is someone called Nancy Dowd, and she wrote Coming Home. And she also wrote Ordinary People, which I don't think I ever saw, but I remember my dad thinking was amazing in the 70s. So it's a woman writer but a male director called Lou Adler, and also someone called Caroline Coon, who was a music journalist and done all sorts of other things, and she was the manager of The Clash for a while. She was like the advisor. So, and then also the girl who sings in the band is Diane Lane, and Laura Dern is in it.
What? Crazy.
I know, it is crazy. And then someone...
How is this not, something we all get shown at school for our education?
Well, I think the reason is that it was never released. So, there's a clue. So it was filmed in 1980. Nancy Dowd actually asked for her name to be removed because there was some issues with abuse on the film, and the operator apparently was horrible, and so she had her name removed. And then there was apparently some dispute over how the film should end, so that they've only filmed an end in 82, 2 years later, and then they showed it to audience. And I love the end, but they showed it to audience and it totally bombed, so it was never released. And then in America, how they had sort of cable nighttime TV where they showed us.
Oh, yes.
So apparently it became a hit on that, and then it was finally released. It apparently inspired a lot of girl bands and riot girls, and so it was finally released sort of a few years ago on DVD, and you can watch it online now. I thought of you when it started because... What's that film again, where there's a famous makeup scene where the nun puts on the makeup?
Black Narcissus.
Yes, and it's obviously a very different thing, this. But it starts with a close-up of Diane Lane, and she's putting on makeup and she's talking to a reporter, and She wears this makeup which is red, but a sort of very orange red, not a dark deep red, but it's a very orangey red. And she has this sort of Ziggy Stardust like two elongated triangles in the corners of her eyes. So she sits there with this bright red pencil and she's doing her eyes while she's sort of saying things to the journalist. And you don't hear, the journalist is a man and he asks really stupid questions, and you find out her mother has just died, and but she's all the time, she's sort of really defiant and just putting on that makeup. And it's quite a long, it goes while the credits are running, so it's a really, really long scene that you see her doing that. And then she and her sister, who's someone called, I think she's called Marion Cantor, and she only played in a few movies, and I couldn't find out what happened to her. So she and Laura Dern, they're the girl band, and they go on tour with this punk band, and the punk band is a support act of a really sort of washed up heavy metal band. And yeah, so it's all complicated, but. So the girls are actually...
what kind of clothes do they
Yeah,
wear?
so the girls are... At the beginning, they wear sort of 1970s, you know, slightly flared jeans and long hair, you know, really nice, in Diane Lane's case, really nice sort of auburn hair. And then they appear on stage, and they're not very good, and they look really boring. And then they change, so they come on stage again, and... Diane Lane wears this massive red, again the same color red beret, and then she takes the beret off and she has dyed her hair black. It's still long, and it's got white stripes on the side, and she's got this sort of spiky fringe, and she wears this red color again, see-through blouse with no underwear, and underpants, black underpants type looking things, and
this sounds like an excellent outfit.
Yeah, and fishnet tights. And I can't remember what she wears in that scene, but then there's a scene with a whole auditorium of girls, like hundreds dressed like that.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So they always have these see-through blouses. They're sometimes red, sometimes they're... You know how in the 80s there were a lot of vintage sort of 50s blouses around? So sometimes they're sort of white, nylon-y see-through blouses. Always with pants.
Oh, lovely subversion of sweet 50s.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and always with these sort of high underpant type thing, and almost like shapewear.
I love the high underpant look. It's very good.
And then there's one shot when it's just a row of, you see the... Well, I'll come back to it for another reason in a moment, but you see this sort of row of legs of girls in black tights, but then they wear little socks in red or white, and then sandals.
So again, like bobby sockses.
Yes, but they wear them with high 70s sandals. Or, I mean, I guess it's, 80 by that point.
I mean, if it wasn't so cold, I'd say we should both wear this outfit today.
I mean, there's sort of odd things about it, like once Diane Lane, she's called actually Corinne Burns, but her stage name is Third Degree Burns. Yes.
Of course it is.
Yes. Once she's unveiled her outfit, she has to walk around the rest of the film in that outfit. So she only ever usually, I think most of the time she just wears the underpants. They do give her
once you've found a good outfit, just
stick with it. She does put on some sort of bra type thing at some point, so it's just that first time that she doesn't wear anything underneath. And she has this very nice, which is maybe incongruous or not, she has this very nice big beige brownie, it's almost like a Max Mara wonderful big coat, 80s coat. So sometimes she wears that on top with her big beret. Obviously she has to wear something warm because she's just wearing pants, but then most of the time she wears the pants, and there's some sort of
that's another good combination.
I know, and it's very clever to keep warm but while still not compromising your look. And the other two members in the band, Laura Dern and this other person called Marin, they also dye their hair. And they also wear this sort of red makeup. And Diane Lane always has the red nail varnish as well, and bright red lips, always in this sort of color. And there's some black eyeliner involved as well. So the clothes are really, really great. But there's some sort of odd things in that. So she's obviously a really strong character, and she's also at times obnoxious, and so she's not nice. But
Okay.
you sort of feel she can't be anyway because people try and rip her off. You know, the
Okay.
music industry does, but then she sort of uses a song that Ray Winston has told, and he's told her a sort of secret about himself, and then she's not very nice to him afterwards, and so there's sort of, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but yeah, she's sort of not a very very nice character, but she comes across as really really strong, and I think that's the point.
Yes.
But then the filming sometimes is very 70s sort of exploitation-ish. You know, there's a lot of shots of crotches
Okay.
because, you know, having lots of women in pants gives that opportunity.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's sort of a bit weird at times how things are filmed. You know, it seems to, in my view, undermine the message. You know, it's almost...
Oh, that's interesting.
But, you know, I've only watched it once last night, quite late, so I definitely want to watch it again. To see what I think about it. It's also quite open about drugs and stuff. I think the film would not be made like this now. I think it would be much more censored in a way. But the clothes are absolutely fantastic, and particularly when they are all these fans, and at the end she's sort of alone. She thought she'd lost it and she wasn't successful, and then these girls come by on a motorbike and they wear these clothes again, so they sit on the motorbike in the underpants, and then she looks to where they're going with the motorbike, and there's a whole group of girls and they're all dressed like that. So again, I think this is weird in itself, isn't it, that you have this really strong person but then everyone imitates them, so not everyone through them becomes their own person, but they become a copy. No,
but do you think, is it like exact, or is it they're emulating someone in order to find something about themselves?
Well, yes, there is that, and it's one of those films where they tell a lot they don't show. So, you know, at some point one of the mothers sits there and she says, I always treated my daughter badly, and I was treated badly by my parents, and I'm so proud now to see her doing this. So, and what you just said, one girl actually says, she meaning Corinne Burns, she says what I never found the words for, something to that effect. Right. So that is definitely the case. And the singer, she has this slogan called I Don't Put Out, which I had to look up. Do you know what that means?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't know that, so I'd never heard that before. So that's there. She says, oh, you don't get me, or you don't understand me because I don't put out, or you don't like me. And so that's the sort of slogan, we don't put out. And they call themselves skunks.
Skunks?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it's also because
so it's like girl punks.
Girl punks, but also because of the hair, which is sort of black and white stripes, I guess. So in a lot of ways, it is the girls in the band. They, in the States, they are really strong and they inspire all these other girls. But then the other girls look very similar. They all have the black and white hair, long and short. So there is some variation, but it is quite similar.
But do you think it looks? I mean, it's hard without seeing the film. But
yes.
Does it look quite powerful having lots of girls dressed like that?
Yes, I guess it's like a little bit like we talked about last week. It's a bit like an army.
So that's what I was wondering, because it sounds so distinct.
Yes.
And so kind of, obviously it's not like Jordan, say.
No.
A sort of unique punk goddess, brilliant person all on her own. But it sounds like at least seeking something different and finding it in being together.
Yeah. No, there is definitely that, and it's interesting how it's really on the edge where the 70s turn into the 80s, so it seems to have both of these things in it, which I think is also really interesting. And their outfit is at one time is sort of quite strong, but then it's also still quite girly with the socks. Yes. And yeah, it's sort of a bit weird, and it's sort of it's strong, but at the same time some of the bits take some of that strongness away, so it's a bit strange, but you're right, there is some power in having so many of them.
Yeah, and as you said, it's because it's really like original punk style has kind of transformed by that point, and
yes.
It's becoming increasingly kind of stereotyped, and it's more what people now think punk was. But that isn't what
Yes.
original punk was. It's kind of it's like more extreme, and the sort of really extreme dyed hair and everything.
Yes.
Which wasn't there at the beginning.
Yeah.
In quite the same way.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely.
So that seems interesting. And yes, as you say, it's sort of the point in the early 80s where it's turning into other subcultures.
Yeah.
Or kind of mixing with them more.
Yeah, it sort of looks sort of new wavy.
And is it? I meant to ask you at the beginning, where is it set?
It's set. So it was filmed in Vancouver, but it's never. So it's set in North America. So it's never obviously in a place. They are in a mining town, so you do see some factories at the beginning.
Right.
But quite quickly they go on tour, and they're in the tour bus, and then you just in the venues, or in motels. So you're actually inside.
Oh, that's interesting.
At the beginning you see more of the outside, actually, now that you're asking me that. And then I think it's mainly the inside of the venues or the hotels. Yeah, they're not so much outside anymore. Apart from that, there's one time where at the end again she's outside when she sees the girls on the motorbike. And there's also one night when they think they've lost it, because she steals that song from the punk band, the male punk band, the male punk. When he's on stage, he says to everyone, they've sold out. They're not authentic.
Yeah.
They're just a front. So when they think they've lost it, they're in the streets at night and they see themselves on TV. And so they're
that's
outside.
That's really interesting, because it seems like there's lots of mirroring. Like it sounds quite, not weird, but quite interesting that they keep seeing other versions of themselves. It's like they keep being represented back to themselves.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And there's one sort of in exchange between her and Corinne and the promoter, who's an older guy, a music industry guy. And he said something, and I thought at the time I must write this down, and then I didn't. But he says something like, you're just a concept and you've blown the concept. And I thought that was so interesting.
Yes.
At some point she's also accused of just being hair. You're just hair. And when she's attacked by the fans. She's attacked with hair dye.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What, they're throwing dye at her?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, I would have thought it's black paint, but then I read about it and people said it's hair dye. So maybe there's something that I missed that makes it obvious that it's hair dye.
Wow.
But she then sees these, girls on a motorbike, etc. And then it cuts to MTV. And so when the film was actually made, MTV didn't exist. So it only came out in 81. So then they make this ending in 82. And they basically film a music video. And you can tell everyone is older, like the three girls in the band or young women in the band are obviously 2 years older. And they look totally sort of new wave. They have very colored tights. They have very colorful outfits, really different hair, long hair now, not spiky or weird colors or anything like that. And it's actually a great music video. The music generally is really good. And I need to get hold of the soundtrack. I really love the music, all of it. Which I should mention seems to be primarily written by someone called Barry Ford, who is also in the film, and he's a Rastafarian. He drives actually the bus. There's the subplot there as well. There's really a lot packed into this one film.
It is, and it sounds like sort of stuff from the Sex Pistols. What is it that Johnny Rotten says about, have you ever felt you've been cheated, or the famous thing he said, and like the Great Rock and Roll Swindle. It sounds like there's kind of echoes of that in the idea of being ripped off or selling out, and there's like this fine line between being successful and then you're too successful, so you've become a sellout just because you're successful. But yeah, the idea of the image is really interesting, that they're seeing themselves in different incarnations, but then they're also being criticized for just being that.
Yeah. And it's also how everyone, all the women in the film are very made up. So there is another sort of subplot with a female TV anchor who wears beautiful makeup, but 70s sort of browny, autumny colours. And then Laura Dern's mother, she's also, there's quite a lot, she's seen quite a lot, and at times in the film, and she's beautiful makeup. She has everything, a blusher, everything is there. And it's interesting, it's the same actually with the girls in the punk band. It's just, it's different makeup, but they're both, there's one, Laura Dern's mother, when you first see her, the first thing you see is her putting on false nails onto her fingers. And Diane Lane as Corinne Burns, she also has this sort of same, not very punk actually, sort of same oval sort of long nails in this sort of red colour. So there is a mirroring there, they are not that different from the older generation of women in some respects.
But I suppose it's that thing of certain makeups being, certain styles of makeup being read as respectable or as demure or as natural.
Or enhancing your features.
Yes, yes, that's always hilarious. But it's like it's all fake, it's all performance, it's all drama. So why can't you just put it on any old way you fancy and any colours you fancy? But that's not the rule. So it's sort of interesting that it's really interesting that it's looking at consciously or not, a generational femininity.
Yes,
and accepted ideas, and also the way that older women tend to hark back to their key point in their life, that when they were young, and the makeup and hairstyles then. Which I guess, Coda is barking a lot because it's postman time.
Oh, okay.
And he has to monitor and bark at the postman.
Oh, okay.
At every opportunity. Fortunately, our postman has a good sense of humour.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I guess like their mother's generation would be like 50s that they were in their heyday, and that's really artificial and.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the mother is very young. She's sort of in the TV interview. She says, "I'm 30," and then the Laura Dern says 34 or 35. I can't remember. So she is meant to be quite young, but still, that would make her she would still have been born in the sort of late 40s. So
yes,
yeah.
So 60s, I guess.
It's also interesting how it starts with her being interviewed about the singer, about her mother having just died, and that the old generation has to go before you can, you can't become yourself while you stay with your mother. She has to be gone. Either you go away, or sadly she has to die.
Wow.
But so I thought that was interesting.
Extreme.
Yeah, well, it sort of is, but then that is something that comes up, like in Beach Girl, that 1960 film.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, it's about a girl it's about a sort of rebellious girl, and again it's again another one of these tell films where they explain everything, and a group of young people, they sit in a cellar at some point, and then they talk about the older generation, and again how either they have grown up without fathers, or it's just again this sort of generation thing,
and having to completely reject it. But then it's interesting that as you're speaking, you're showing how it's just the same but different.
Yes, and how it has affected you. The absence has affected you, or what they're like. It's not like you can disregard them.
And the girls who are mimicking their outfits, what age group are they? How old are they?
They are, I would say, teenagers, so very young actually. And I think
but are we talking like 13?
No, more sort of 15, 16, I would think 15, 16, 17. So Diane Lane herself, I think, was 15 when she did the film. 15 or...
Wow.
Yeah.
No, because I was trying to think how old Laura Dern would be, and surely she'd be really...
She looks a tad older than Diane Lane, but also not older than 16, 17, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the other person, Maureen Cantor, she's the sister of Corinne, so they both run off together. She looks even younger. She's the younger sister, so she in the film. I don't know whether in real life, but it's all about, which is another thing that is a little bit. It's these young girls, surrounded by a lot of older men. The punk band, they're all in their mid-20s or so, and then the metal band is even older, and the industry guy he's older as well. But at some point at the end, sort of Corinne is interviewed on TV, and she said something about, oh, he was just a man in a young girl's world.
Oh my God.
This is so good, isn't it?
I want that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
That is so good.
I need to watch it again and write down all the one-liners or two-liners.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them that are really, really good.
Let's celebrate young girls and their world.
Yes.
Because they so often get ignored, and it's just what the boys did in their subculture. So hooray for young girls.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. She also said everyone should get a guitar on their 16th birthday from the state. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that would really have done anything for me. Since I have zero musical abilities.
Same
but
here.
I like the sentiment.
Yeah. I tried playing the guitar and it didn't go very well. So.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Can you play any other musical instrument?
I used to be able to play the piano, but I don't think I could do it now. The triangle. I was good on the triangle.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one.
Yeah, and the recorder actually I played too.
Oh my
God, I know. I could be my own band.
You're multi-instrumental.
I could be my own band, which would be a weird band. Triangle, recorder, guitar, and piano. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but you should definitely watch it. It's very good, and I'm definitely going to watch it a few more times to get all the nuances.
Definitely. I just looked up Laura Dern, and she was born in 1967.
Oh, okay. So she's even younger then. Yeah, than I thought. Yeah. But what about you? I
thought you meant was I even younger?
No. No.
Well, I can hardly speak after hearing about all of this.
Oh, okay.
But what I can tell you,
yeah,
which I just so wish this was still on because I loved it so much. You know Bianca Saunders, the wonderful menswear designer, London-based. Well, I love her work. That's the starting point. And then she sent me an email saying that she was going to have an exhibition in Brixton Market. So I was already super excited because just down the road. And I loved it so much. I went on Sunday with my friend Fruji, who's a former student from years ago. And we were just like in heaven. It was so beautiful because it was in Granville Market, which is the one that's covered, you know? Not the like more gentrified one. And it was amazing because she'd taken over 4 abandoned units in the market. So the first one, you could visit in any order. So I'm just telling you in the order we saw it. And it was such a sort of thoughtful, intelligent, beautiful, inspiring experience to sort of be in the market on a Sunday morning when it's quite quiet and drowsy and just amazing. And the first one that we went into was kind of, it was like the outside had sort of been recreated because it was like papered over with thick, white, jaggedly ripped card. And so you could see into it. And it was really clever because what was inside was Jazz Grant's collages. So it was almost like the little unit had become a collage itself. Because then when you were inside, there were 2 gaps so that you could look out and just see patches of the shops opposite and people walking by. And her work, I didn't know, but is really lovely. It was really provocative. It's like found photographs, and she'd chosen like images of black musicians or of sort of historically important moments and then cut out all the figures and sort of arranged them. So there's a sort of 3-dimensional element to it. And then really bright, like green foliage, like palm trees, just explode out from behind them or out of their jacket or out of their face or something.
What's the name again?
Jazz Grant. Really, really wonderful. So it really sort of stops you in your tracks, and sometimes it seems like it's like a gathering of people, and it seems like the greenness is quite oppressive and kind of squashing them, and sometimes it seems quite celebratory, and it makes you kind of look again at sort of famous figures but also general crowds of people and sort of study it more. So that was really wonderful. So Fruji and I were already excited. I mean, honestly, we were just so excited by all of this, I can't even tell you. And then we went round, and there was a shop, again like a shop front in the market, and it had Ronan Mackenzie's photographs for Bianca Saunders' current campaign in it. And it was so lovely because the shop itself, the storefront, is bright yellow with blue text, and then there was sand on the floor, and then like a blue curtain at the back, and then just white walls. And it had, you must look, they're so beautiful. It's called Yellow, the campaign, because it's referring to like her Caribbean heritage and like yellow walls, and how you don't really get them here, but they somehow make things familiar that aren't, because they refer to your home and heritage life. And it's shot on members of her family, so it's really lovely. It's like this connection between her work, her family, her heritage. And so it's her family, and in the photographs they're on sand. So it's, again, as with Jazz Grant, it's like indoors, outdoors, and nature and man-made combined. And there's like yellow melons, and they're really beautiful photographs. And like they're sitting on like plastic garden chairs, so again there's this blurring between where you are. And her cousin, we were very thrilled because her cousin, who is in the campaign, was in the room, so we liked that very much. And she was wearing a yellow coat, which she said she hadn't done deliberately, but we were very pleased that she had coordinated the whole thing. And then there was another one where you went like, because that was the other thing, because it kind of made you rediscover the market, because the market's so familiar to me because I've lived here so long, but it's like it was making me see angles of it that I haven't seen before. And like the other two were both upstairs, so you're suddenly in a bit of the market that you never usually see.
I didn't know there was an upstairs.
No, I didn't. And there's this whole like labyrinth of rooms upstairs, again completely empty, and I was thinking, just give these to artists in the community, because they're amazing spaces. So one was a film which was my absolute favourite, which was just so elegiac and beautiful, and it was a film of the Durbar Festival, which is in the north of Nigeria, to mark the end of Ramadan. And it was so lovely. I really, really, really wish you could see it. I'm going to send you a video of it because it's so extraordinary.
Hopefully there's stuff online still.
Yeah, it was by Akinola Davies, and it's like this festival where, from what I understand, like different villages, I think, or different locales have their own like contingents, and they make their own outfits and everything, but it's outfits that look back to Nigerian history. And so they wear these amazing robes and like headdresses, and they're just extraordinary. And they also, the horses have like elaborate horse trappings.
Oh, they're on horses. Wow.
They're on horses. Sorry, I should have said that earlier, because that's very important. And it's just the way that it was shown was incredible. So you're in this like abandoned bit of the market, and oh my God, can you hear that?
Yes, I can.
So you're in this abandoned bit of the market, so that's really weird and off. But then this beautiful, it was shown on 3 almost like sheets, just white cloth. So you're watching, like Frigi was saying, it's like you're watching textiles on textiles, which is really beautiful. And it's very slightly slowed down, and there was this wonderful music playing, and it's like it's an entranceway. So you stand in the room, which is very raw because obviously it's not in use, and there were 2 curtains, almost like a proscenium, and then one slightly further back in the middle, white, and you watch this amazing procession. And like at one point they've got a hyena, and at one point there was a boy, one of the boys on the horses, and he had like this amazing, it almost looks like medieval twisted headdress, but he was wearing plastic like women's Jackie O sunglasses with it, so like amazing. And you see like people walking through the streets to get to the palace and to get to the parade, and it's just beautiful. But then you can walk through to the other side, so you can then see it back, like the back of the film, if you see what I mean.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Because the curtains. So you can see the film from another angle. It also reflects onto the wall opposite, so you're seeing it twice. And then there was a screen on the floor balanced on sand, which is a motif that runs through, playing at the normal speed.
Oh, okay.
So it was really just so rich and so exquisite, and yet so simply done.
It sounds amazing. I'm so sorry I missed it.
Yeah, so it was just, it was so beautiful. And then the last one was again upstairs in an abandoned bit, and it was really lovely. It was really lovely to be up there because you can see down into the market in such a different way that was amazing. But then the final one was two films. One was a performance artist who she had walked from Gresham Police Station to, I think, Peckham, and filmed all of it. And she was wearing like Nike Air Force Ones, which are obviously so kind of meaningful and iconic. But she was wearing them, like the laces were tied around her ankles. Rochelle White is her name. And her laces were tied around her ankles and they were dragging behind her. And she was just kind of, it was almost like she was in a trance, just kind of walking through. And it was really, and then you'd get like close-ups of her putting on the sneakers, or you'd get, close-ups of other vistas. And again, very sort of touching and poignant about like the city and the harshness of the city, and then the black woman within the city. And then the last one was Caleb Femi, and that was really good. That was 3 black boys who make honey. They create honey. So like them at Hive. So it was so beautiful. Like, it must have been amazing if you didn't know it was on and you just stumbled across this series of, and like such a great thing to do in the market. It was just perfect. And Bianca Saunders, we briefly met her and said hello to her. Just like we were saying, like what a generous, beautiful thing to do, because you can imagine some people, if they were given that, would just do promoting themselves kind of stuff. Whereas this was such a thought. There were so many threads that went through from one. Like, I keep thinking about it more and more of the threads that went from one space and one artist to the next, and from her, like the materiality of her actual clothing designs to the photographs to the sand to the films to the collage. It was really wonderful.
It does sound wonderful.
It really was.
I will look up all those people.
Yeah. No, it was so distinct, and each room was so distinct to that artist, but there was such connection in terms of this sort of sense of, it was called Nearness. So that sense of sort of family, community, etc., but like your own personal history and deeper histories. Oh my goodness, Koda has got very excited now and is just running as fast as he can up and down the stairs.
Oh, okay.
I think I should probably
do something.
Break this cycle of overexcitement of whatever it is that's going on with him.
Okay.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.